It's Wednesday, June 10th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Police say they're not playing around when it comes to the use of fake guns. Artemis 2 astronaut Canadian Jeremy Hansen is in the Maritimes and joins us live.
More hot weather tomorrow with temperatures beginning to come down Friday into the weekend with a change in the wind direction.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. We begin tonight in Bridgewater, where right now fire crews are on the scene of a fire that has forced several streets to be closed off, and there are concerns for one missing person. Crews were called to a fire in an older two-story structure on King Street this afternoon. It's described as a stubborn blaze. The flames quickly spread to an adjacent building. The area was cordoned off as multiple crews battled the fire. One witness told CTV News it seemed firefighters were smashing windows in an effort to bring the building down. Now, streets in the area will remain closed for at least 24 hours. Police have been concerned about one local person.
We do believe somebody called from the scene. It was called in as an entrapment. We are trying to track down family members before we do any other notification. We have not confirmed, though, if anybody is on scene or in scene. Fire has not been able to get in that building as of yet.
To prevent it from igniting, there's no word on a cause of this fire. The Red Cross has just set up a site at Town Hall for people who might be impacted. Of course, if we have any details through the coming hour, we will bring those to you, and Bruce Frisco will have an update on the situation in our late news at 11:30. Meanwhile, a home was completely destroyed by an overnight fire in West Hants, Nova Scotia. This happened at around 2:30 in the morning on Highway 215 in Cheverie, that's southwest of Walton. No one was in the home at the time, but the house and surrounding outbuildings were completely destroyed. Luckily, no one was injured. The cause of this fire remains under investigation tonight. A 20-year-old Queens County man is dead following a crash on the Trans-Canada Highway in Prince Edward Island. It happened at dawn near Pownal. A passenger vehicle and a tractor-trailer collided. It's not known what caused the collision at this time. An investigation is underway. Police are warning of a gun problem in Halifax, but there's a catch. They're concerned about a trend among young people in the city who are carrying fake guns. Police warn the consequences can be very real and serious. CTV's Callum Smith shows us what they're talking about.
More than 60 calls in 2026, all for fake guns, a third of the time involving youth. Halifax police are pleading to the public to help stop a concerning trend of a spike in replica firearms, especially when they're in public spaces.
Recently, we've had a call at a local restaurant where youths were involved with BB guns, pointing them at each other.
That was a Halifax area McDonald's. A 15-year-old was charged with uttering threats, possession of a weapon, 2 counts of carrying a concealed weapon, among other charges. But imitation guns and real firearms can look identical. While this is a police service pistol, this is a fake gun.
We respond to that complaint armed with a real firearm. We can't tell the difference. There's a real possibility of us going to these calls 3 times a week that somebody could end up shot and dead by the police. And that will involve an inquiry, an investigation, and, that's one of us going home knowing we shot somebody that didn't have a real gun in their hand. And we can't tell the difference.
British Columbia is introducing new laws in October banning the sale of imitation guns to youth and banning them outright from certain places people gather.
Although it's a relief to find out that the threat does not involve a real firearm, it's frustrating to have waste those resources when there are other people in our community that need our help.
Another concern is 3D printed guns. Police recently did a search in the Bedford area and found printers actively producing replica firearms.
It's a huge concern, and again, we often refer to those 3D printed guns as ghost guns. They don't have serial numbers. We can't track those back. It's a real issue. across the nation and in our counterparts in the U.S.
He says the only thing that may be trackable is metal components needed to make them work as real firearms with help from CBSA officers. All a concern to cops, hoping awareness helps curb the problem. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
Online, a man has been charged following a fatal hit and run that took place outside Miramichi. We have the details now at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Some managers of rural NB liquor outlets don't know how they'll comply with a ruling to serve customers in both English and French. It's particularly difficult in predominantly Anglo regions and places where it's hard to find employees in the first place. CTV's Derek Haggett reports.
It's tourism time along the roadway that links Moncton to Fundy National Park. People from across Canada and around the world will be stopping in small, mainly English-speaking communities to gas up and buy booze. But there could be a problem for operators of NB Liquor agency stores.
There's communities like near here that don't have a lot of French speaking, and getting people to work here that have French is already a problem, just getting workers.
Last week, the province's Commissioner of Official Languages ruled NB Liquor must offer bilingual service at its agency locations. It's the result of an official complaint made by a man who says he couldn't get service in French in Saint Antoine back in 2025.
Going to gas, buy my bottle of wine, and ask for service in French. Said so nobody can speak to me in French, and the answer was we only speak English.
Staff here say they get by the best they can.
We don't have anyone on staff that actually speaks French right now, but our French-speaking base here is very minimal.
The owner of this store in Alma says he's not a big fan of the language ruling because finding employees, let alone French-speaking ones, is difficult. In Norton, a staff member says they were unaware of the ruling, and as of right now, they would not be able to provide service in French. I spoke with a few Francophones today who had stopped at gas stations with agency stores located inside of them. They told me it doesn't matter to them if they're served in French or English. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Riverside, Albert, New Brunswick.
There's a live look at the Truro area right now, currently 25 degrees at 7 minutes after 6 o'clock. Let's get our first look at the forecast, and we bring in CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell, and that is pretty much a good description of what it was like throughout the region today.
Yeah, that's right. So once again, we had some very warm June temperatures, even described as hot for some areas. It was a mild start to the day with most morning temperatures around the Maritimes. You know, high single digits, low teens, a little bit cooler than that for a few areas in Cape Breton, around 6 first thing in the morning for Shetty Camp and Sydney. But then moving into and through the afternoon, those temperatures, well, they came way up across the region. A lot of highs today away from some coastal areas, topped out mid to high 20s, and there were even some low 30s once again. Hottest spot in the Maritimes today, Fredericton Airport, 31 degrees. That's at weather stations monitored by Environment Canada. Now moving into this evening, conditions remain very warm here in the Maritimes. We got 28 at Fredericton right now, 28 at Miramichi, 29 at Edmundston, the northwest of New Brunswick. Temperatures a little bit more moderate around the Bay of Fundy coastline in that province, parts of the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia because of an onshore southerly wind. We've also had some cloud cover that's moved in as we've gone through this afternoon into this evening. That is being accompanied by a few showers for a few parts of the Maritimes, including parts of the north of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island with a chance of some showers, as well as locations in Cape Breton as we move through this evening. Now, during the overnight into the start of the day for tomorrow, there's expected to be another round of showers that'll make its way through the northeastern United States and just brush past the southwestern corner of the Maritimes. So a few communities, especially in the southwest of Nova Scotia, have some showery conditions to get Thursday started. But there's also still some heat in the forecast for tomorrow before things begin to cool down in the Maritimes Friday and for the upcoming weekend. And Todd, I'm going to be talking more about that later on.
Okay, we'll see you in about 14 minutes time for that, Kaylin. Thank you. What is perhaps the region's major shopping street is hurting. According to the Spring Garden Business District, drugs, crime, and aggressive panhandling is driving people away from an area accustomed to attracting locals and visitors. CTV's Vanessa Wright reports.
It's a sunny day in Halifax, which means Spring Garden Road is flooded with foot traffic. But the beautiful street, walked by nearly 12 million people each year, has been dealing with some problems.
It becomes undesirable if somebody's, openly having drug use or a mental health episode while you're in your community at 8:30 in the morning.
And it's not just the open and persistent drug use that's a concern. UTEC says panhandling is an everyday sight.
The theft is up. We know that between 2023 and 2025, retail theft alone in this area in the downtown was up 61%. So that tells you right there that we have a problem.
One that's quickly turning people away. At night, some will take detours, others avoid the area altogether. Nearby businesses are feeling the brunt of it.
I think it frightens people. I think people who aren't used to seeing individuals sitting on the street perhaps have a misinterpretation of what their intention is.
Foot patrol officers is something UTEC has been pushing for years. Starting next month, they'll be out there.
There's no doubt that having officers present would be a dissuasion from people who are intending to rob a store, because the police would be closer and the call to action would take less time.
A situation UTEC says people are no longer willing to tolerate and police simply can't ignore.
The community's had enough, the retail has had enough, and so we're out here saying we've got a problem, please help.
While the people living here say they are aware these issues stretch far beyond what meets the eye. Homelessness and a lack of affordable housing are things they'd like to see the city address so that the community that they love can feel safe once again. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
New Brunswick's public school teachers are getting a raise over the next 5 years. As CTV's Nick Moore reports, the new contract was signed today, but still hasn't been made public.
Oh, yeah, that's a 3D figure.
The new collective agreement for 7,800 New Brunswick teachers is retroactive from late March of this year to late February of 2031.
It's a 5-year contract that includes an economic increase of 14.5%, changes to the salary grid.
Premier Susan Holt says there's a recruitment bonus of 1% upon signing the agreement, with another one in 2030, along with retention bonuses for teachers who have been in the classroom starting after 15 years, with additional bonuses after 20 and 25 years.
We're very pleased with how it turned out.
New Brunswick Teachers Association President Heidi Ryder says the new contract will help with recruitment and retention.
I can point to one which would be prep time replacement. So if teachers are filling in for absent teachers, which happens fairly often and more frequently than we would like to see, they will now have that prep time replaced at a later time when a supply is available.
We heard from teachers that they need more support, that they've been experiencing burnout, that they want support in their classrooms and they want support for their work. They want more colleagues around.
While the agreement was signed today, specific questions about it were not answered, including the dollar amount budgeted for the contract. Reporters asked for a copy of the signed contract, but none was provided by deadline. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
A shop owner in downtown Halifax fears losing out on vital summer business. Street construction right in front of his location is driving customers away long after the city promised it would be complete. CTV's Jonathan McGinnis has our update.
There's a big difference between businesses with patios on the northern end of Argyle Street compared to the southern end where construction is taking place. It's so bad the owner of the World Tea Room still hasn't put out his chairs and tables.
It's just challenging. It's lack of foot traffic is the big thing, and with lack of foot traffic comes lack of revenue.
Philip Holmans doesn't usually work the counter, but he has to after letting some staff go and reducing hours for others to make up for the lost revenue.
We had to draw from line of credit to pay rent and payroll and all these things, so we're operating at a negative, and that's just not sustainable.
Dexter Construction is working on the repairs between Sackville and Blower Streets. It's an area with lots of bars, restaurants, and cafes. A drain pipe with an expected lifespan of 25 years was installed in 2017. That pipe collapsed. The repairs are costing almost $350,000.
It was showing early signs of aging, so it was beginning to reach the end of its life earlier than expected. So crews have gone in there to replace it and put a more robust type of drain in there this time.
We had kind of hoped that the work would get done in a shorter time frame.
The work is now in its 6th week. The CEO of the Downtown Halifax Business Commission is hoping the province soon responds to a request made for the establishment of a construction mitigation fund.
This would be a way that would just add a bit of money in the pot, would allow the city to offer the businesses some compensation for lost sales.
McKinnon says this is common practice in some Canadian cities. A good idea, but too late for Philip Holmans to recoup any of his losses. Well, Todd, when we did this story at the end of April, we were hearing this project was going to take 4 to 5 weeks to complete, and there was even some optimism that it might be done in 3. City officials now tell me the original contract calls for this to be done June 12th, which is Friday. Todd.
All right, John McGuinness in the Entertainment District, downtown Halifax this evening. Thanks, John. The future of New Brunswick's rent cap will be announced in the coming days. The provincial rent cap, currently set at 3%, is subject to an annual review. This comes as the province is reviewing the Residential Tenancies Act as well. The latest data shows a 5.1% rise in 2-bedroom apartment rents in the Fredericton area.
So 5.1% in the face of the past 6 years of having nearly a 50% increase in rent in the province is a pretty stark difference. That's why the rent cap has been so important, because it's really offering tenants that maintain their tenancy the stability over the long term.
Nationally, numbers show a slight drop in rental prices in Toronto and Vancouver, and as we reported last night, Halifax now has the title of Canada's priciest rent. The 2026 FIFA World Cup begins tomorrow, with matches being played across North America. TSN, CTV, Crave were the home for your coverage of every game during the 5-week tournament. But as we've been telling you nightly, that will impact our broadcasts on certain days. Starting tomorrow, CTV News at 5 and CTV News at 6 will be on CTV 2. That is for tomorrow. You can go to the QR code or ctvnewsatlantic.ca to see the full list of dates of when that will take place. And also tomorrow, we'll be live from the FIFA Fan Experience Tour as it kicks off a national tour here in Halifax. That is 6 o'clock on CTV 2. A St. John jury heard from the first police officers on the scene of a double murder of 2 boys. They described what they saw that January day when they entered the apartment. CTV's Avery McRae is covering proceedings and has the latest from the courthouse.
When police arrived at this building, the first sign that something was very wrong was the puddle of blood on the hallway floor outside the unit door. Body cam footage showed it took almost 30 seconds for police to open the doors as it was barricaded. Once inside, the images showed a teen's body on the floor. Video then showed officers finding the accused in the bathroom covered in blood. Constable Nick Roy testified he knew he was alive, he just wasn't responding. Footage then showed officers entering a dark room and finding the body of a young boy tucked in bed with multiple stab wounds. Constable Roy told the 14-member jury it was pretty obvious what happened. He had been killed. Officers testified Commissioner did not talk but did a lot of moaning. They later learned he had nails in his head from a nail gun as part of an unsuccessful suicide attempt. Afternoon testimony turned to former tenants of the same apartment building. 2 residents, one who lived across the hall from Commissioner and another who lived beside, recalled hearing loud commotion shortly after 7 that morning. It was like someone was in pain, one testified. The 2 tenants who lived directly below recalled hearing what they say sounded like someone was almost being hit while they were on the floor, almost in a rhythmic fashion. One told the court he heard every thump against that floor. Commissioner has pleaded not guilty to the 2 charges of first-degree murder. We had previously reported about a 911 call one of the victims made, but today was the first time the actual audio was heard in court. You could hear a pin drop as a young voice pleaded for help. While it was played, Commissioner kept his head bowed down, only looking occasionally to the side of him to see a copy of the transcript of the call. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. John.
We'll take our first break of the evening. Weather still to come, but when we return, we'll be joined live by Artemis astronaut Jeremy Hansen, who's in the Maritimes. Stay with us.
This is your Campfire Conditions Report brought to you by Pine Acres RV, where customers become friends. And for the province of New Brunswick, with the hot, dry weather, campfires are not permitted for most counties. The exceptions, St. John County and Albert County, where they are permitted between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. For the province of Nova Scotia, most can have campfires between 7 p.m. and 8 a.m. The exception is Queens County, where campfires are currently banned. And for the province of Prince Edward Island, campfires are permitted, with domestic brush burning allowed between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. Along with checking your provincial and municipal restrictions, make sure you keep fires small and under control and never leave a fire unattended.
Welcome back. Something special now. Artemis 2 mission specialist astronaut Jeremy Hansen is in Halifax, and we're fortunate to have him for a couple of minutes before an event put on by the Discovery Center. Welcome to the Maritimes.
Thank you. It's great to be here, as always.
You've been asked so much about your mission. It's been a few weeks now since you've touched down. Have you had enough time to reflect on what you and your team accomplished?
Yeah, I'm not sure I could say I've had enough time, but I definitely have been reflecting, and I had a little bit of downtime last week, for example, and I still have these moments of disbelief that I actually flew around the moon. It's pretty extraordinary what humans can do when we set these big goals and come together to accomplish them, and I lived that. I lived it. I saw things with my own eyes that I just couldn't have even imagined, even though I'd seen, obviously, pictures that we've all seen of Earth from space or the moon up close, but seeing it with your own eyes gives you a completely different perspective. And ultimately, I'm just left with a sense of gratitude for what we have here on planet Earth.
Yeah, you had so much training and years of developing and preparing you for those, couple of days. But, even with all of that, were you able to prepare yourself for what you eventually saw?
Mostly. I did feel very prepared for the mission, but I saw things I didn't expect to see.
Yeah.
It's really hard to put into words. I just wish I could take people there and show them. It would be amazing to do that. It'd be so fun to share it. But one of the things I've tried to convey numerous times is when we were far from Earth, and if the lighting was right, I could see the Earth, and then I could see the galaxy behind it. But the galaxy was different than you and I see it in the dark sky here on Earth. Here, it looks like it's painted on a canvas, but when I was in space, I could perceive the three-dimensionality of the galaxy. And it was like I was in it. And I could tell that stars were closer or further, and there was depth, and they were all around me. And that was something really profound. It made me feel extremely insignificant as an individual, very small, but also, it made me feel very powerful as a human species.
Your fellow crew members handed over the keys, so to speak, to the newly announced crew of Artemis 3. Must be satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the only part I didn't love about that was that I wasn't there in person. I was grateful to be here in Canada, but I really missed that opportunity to be there for the announcement, to cheer them on. But it's very exciting to see us passing on the torch to the Artemis 3 crew. We've always said that this is a marathon or a relay race, and Artemis 3 is going to take on some big challenges with our lunar landers next year. And then Artemis 4, we're hoping to get humans back on the surface of the moon. That's going to be really something to behold.
Well, you set the stage for that next Artemis mission, and we are all very thankful for that. No one has flown further. Jeremy Hansen, thank you, and again, welcome to the Maritimes.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I was at Canso today watching a rocket launch from the Maritimes here. I hope Nova Scotians are proud of what is happening here with this getting Canada into launching rockets to space. That's a pretty extraordinary thing. And it's just another reflection on what Canadians are capable of doing. I'm super proud of Canada, and I hope they feel that pride as well.
Well, that's good of you to say. Glad to have you with us tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We'll take a minute. We'll be back with your weather forecast after this. Here we are, soaring above South Bar, Nova Scotia, Cape Breton, of course. Mostly clear this morning, but some clouds have moved in over the area. Kaylin, you'll tell us about that, but a beautiful, let's call it a summer day, hey?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a summer feel to the air around the Maritimes for today. Little weak weather front off the low pressure system centered in through Quebec did increase cloudiness over the Maritimes. We went through the afternoon into the evening. It's also the same front that's bringing in chance of showers northern areas, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Cape Breton as we move through this evening. We're going to get back to our weather here in the Maritimes in a moment. We'll start with a quick look at weather conditions across the country. Vancouver sitting at 17 degrees right now. They have some scattered showers and thunderstorms in parts of Alberta. Edmonton sitting at 12. Regina 19 degrees. Winnipeg's at 25. Now there continue to be some severe thunderstorm watches and warnings out for parts of southern Manitoba, and those severe thunderstorm watches actually extend now, and some of the warnings into parts of northern Ontario. It was a wild scene for weather with those severe thunderstorms in southern areas of Manitoba yesterday. There were several tornadoes reported. Environment Canada is working on confirming those. Parts of the Winnipeg area saw golf ball size hail, and an area, a community just north of Winnipeg, Stonewall, saw about 250 millimeters of rain in less than 24 hours. If we think about our catastrophic flooding here in Nova Scotia in 2023 that affected communities like Bedford and Sackville, that is a similar amount of rain that was seen in that flash flooding situation. So similar type of flooding event there in around Stonewall, Manitoba. And like I said, they're still contending with some severe thunderstorms today. Toronto sitting at 28 degrees right now. Montreal at 27. Fredericton at 28 this hour. It's 21 at Halifax, 24 at Charlottetown. And St. John's in Newfoundland right now sitting at 10 degrees. On our forecast timeline for cloud cover and precipitation, we're expecting cloudy periods for tonight. The chance of showers for a few areas this evening. Northern New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Cape Breton. And then overnight, a round of showers is expected to move in out of the northeastern United States, crossing the southwest of Nova Scotia. That'll be around for Thursday morning. Also a low chance that a few of those showers could brush in past Campbell, Grand Manan, or maybe even St. John. And there is a risk of a downpour or small thunderstorm within those showers, but they should be cleared out by around noon on Thursday. Thursday afternoon around the Maritimes, mostly a mix of sun and cloud. Winds for tonight and for tomorrow for a good portion of the region remain out of the south and southwest, sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour, a few gusts between 20 and 40. They will be a little bit more easterly around the northeast of New Brunswick, including Bathurst, the Acadian Peninsula. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight for a good portion of the Maritimes, between 10 and 15 degrees. A little bit cooler at Sydney, getting down to around 9. In the forecast for tomorrow for high temperatures, still hot in northern areas of New Brunswick. A lot of highs between 29, potentially up to around 31, 32 degrees. On the coastline, a little bit cooler. Temperatures directly on the coast, closer to 24. Hot for Fredericton for tomorrow. High temperature near 31. Temperatures more moderate around the Bay of Fundy coastline, where that south wind is a little bit more onshore. Moncton in the southeast with a high temperature near 29 degrees. A lot of heat for Prince Edward Island for tomorrow. Just off the coastline, high temperatures, high 20s. Some may touch into the low 30s. Directly on the coastline, there'll be some temperatures between 24 and 26 degrees. For Cape Breton tomorrow, high temperatures will be mostly in the low to mid 20s. Around the north shore of mainland Nova Scotia, high 20s, some near 30 degrees. Could be pretty close to 30 tomorrow, New Glasgow and Antigonish. On the eastern shore, coastal areas mostly between 18 and 22. 24 for Halifax and Dartmouth for tomorrow, 30 for Truro, 27 for Amherst, Hot for the Annapolis Valley, and on the south shore of Nova Scotia, high temperatures, high teens, low 20s. Changing the wind direction on Friday. Winds becoming east and northeast. Starts to cool parts of the Maritimes down, especially Prince Edward Island, eastern areas of Nova Scotia, and eastern parts of New Brunswick. So that's the start of a cooling trend that continues into the upcoming weekend with showers in the forecast for New Brunswick on Saturday. And after that, chance of showers Sunday and Monday, followed by a mix of sun and cloud for Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. For Nova Scotia in the outlook, we have some isolated showers on Friday and then showers expected on Saturday as the front moves through. A mix of sun and cloud on Sunday with a chance of showers on Monday, then a mix of sun and cloud for Tuesday and Wednesday. And for Prince Edward Island, we have some isolated showers on Friday. Showers in the forecast for Saturday, cooler temperatures, a mix of sun and cloud on Sunday, a chance of showers on Monday of next week, and a mix of sun and cloud Tuesday and Wednesday, Todd.
Okay, looks pretty good for our World Cup show tomorrow night. We'll see you at the end of the broadcast tonight. And next, we'll talk about a new Senate report on the impacts of wildfires in Canada. Don't go away. Welcome back. We are into forest fire season now. The Canadian Senate has released a new study on the impacts of wildfires on this country. The chair of the Senate Committee on Agriculture and Forestry is the Honourable Mary Robinson of Prince Edward Island, and she joins us from Ottawa. It's good to see you, Senator.
And you as well, Todd. Thank you.
This report has the ominous title, Canada on Fire. There are a lot of dramatic numbers. One shows that in 2023, not that long ago, Canada lost nearly 15 million hectares of land to forest fires. These numbers are almost too big to comprehend.
They certainly are, and I did some research. I asked the question of, with 14.6 million hectares, what would that be for someone, and particularly from Atlantic Canada? How can I visualize that? And coincidentally, the land mass of New Brunswick is 7.3 million hectares. So if we think about New Brunswick and double that, that is what burned in 2023.
Yeah, that's a staggering amount. The report talks about a lot of impacts, one of them on agriculture. You spoke with producers. What did they tell you about the reality of what these fires do to them?
Sure. So we heard from almost 80 witnesses over the course of this study and had 23 submissions as well. And we heard loud and clear from agriculture producers that when they face fire, wildfires that force evacuations, that has obvious effects in that they've got to relocate cattle and they've got to deal with equipment and all of the infrastructure they rely on farm. But we also heard about the impact when we have ash and smoke, and how we do not then have sun reaching crops to help them grow. And we've also got soil degradation from the air quality. So all of this translates into a loss in yields and quality of crops, which isn't something necessarily that we would think about, I don't think. Because when I think of wildfires, I think about the images we see with trees on fire and communities being evacuated.
Yeah, and this is a broad impact right across the country. There's really no part of Canada that has not been impacted by this. The report also goes on to mention wildfires as a crisis, but also as a social and public health challenge. What do you mean by that?
Well, the impact of wildfires, we obviously have environmental impacts and we've got safety impacts, but we have health impacts. The impacts are profoundly human, and we talk about the stress. We heard about the stress from witnesses, the post-traumatic stress, because a lot of these communities that are evacuated year after year. And just imagine, Todd, you and your family being told you have to leave your house sometimes with simply the clothes on your back, and you arrive somewhere without your medication, without any of your digital background, and any of your keepsakes, any of the things that bring you comfort. If you've got a family, you can just imagine the impact on that. So we talk a lot, or we heard a lot from people about the impacts of what it meant to not have culturally appropriate comforts and necessities at their fingertips when they are evacuated.
Let me ask you about recommendations, because there are many. One of them points out a need for coordination right across the country.
Yeah, and today we did hold a press conference on the Hill just an hour or so ago, and we heard from Chief McMullen, and he talked about Canada being the only country in the G7 that does not have a seat at the table where these decisions are made, someone that can speak with expertise to what it means for the need and the anticipation of wildfires, and how we prepare to avoid them, and how we prepare to respond to them, and how we rebuild after them. So that idea of having a bureau or an association, an overarching federal element to this would help with that, and would also help us coordinate resources in the moment when we're dealing with fires, because we know typically, and there's certainly situations that fall outside of the typical here, but typically we see that we have to have so many resources, and they have to be placed strategically so that they can move and respond where the fires are happening. So a federal approach would bring more nimbleness and would allow us to capture the synergies of having those resources within Canada.
Senator, it is the new reality in this country, isn't it? We thank you for your time today, and we hope for a quiet wildfire season.
Todd, if I may, I grew up in Prince Edward Island, as you said, and I think every Islander knows what it is to build a sandcastle and want to have those walls big enough around their castle that when the tide comes in, their sandcastle survives. And I think Canadians need to start looking at wildfires through this kind of lens.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you again, Senator. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
The Ecology Action Centre and 50 environmental and community organizations gathered in Halifax to raise concerns about the province's plan to protect 20% of its land by 2030.
Progress has slowed to a crawl.
Since 2023, the amount of protected land has climbed from 13% to just over 14%. The Ecology Action Centre says the province is falling behind, and at this rate, they calculate the province won't hit the target until 2040.
This government, if it wants any credibility, needs to accelerate its efforts and get serious about it and start collaborating with communities and Mi'kmaq leaders to get it done.
Plourde accused the PC government of prioritizing resource extraction over conservation. He says conservation and resource development can coexist, but says the focus right now is weighted too heavily in favor of industry.
Who said that forestry should have all of Crown lands and mining should have all of Crown lands? Doesn't that seem a little bit too much?
So some resource extraction is okay as long as we can do it safely, not recklessly, and with transparency and consultation, not just with industry perspective.
The province says they're on course to meet the legislated goal of 20% land protected by 2030.
Many of these groups that we're speaking today are solely focused just on environmental outcomes and environmental initiatives. We have the responsibility to not only protect the environment, but also to make sure that we have an economy that lets our young people stay here and get employment.
The Ecology Action Centre wants to see a plan and clear path to 2030. To get there, Nova Scotia needs to protect more than 300,000 hectares of land to meet its 20% target. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
All right, clearly we had an issue there, but we've got that straightened away, that report by Jesse Thomas. Overseas now, in escalations in the war with Iran, U.S. President Donald Trump said he will conduct more strikes in Iran in retaliation for the downing of an American helicopter. This is now raising questions about the status of the ceasefire and future negotiations. ABC's Olivia Rubin has the details.
Today, President Trump saying the United States will launch more attacks in Iran.
We hit them hard yesterday, and we're going to hit them again hard today.
The escalation coming after the downing of an American helicopter this week.
We're going to be attacking them very hard.
Resuming bombing?
Yeah, well, we are. Based on the helicopter, I guess we have the right to do that.
U.S. CENTCOM saying they already struck Iranian assets overnight. Iran responding with strikes towards U.S. targets in the region. Bahrain and Kuwait saying those missiles were intercepted. The president today making it clear he's losing patience with Iran with no agreement on the table, warning they will, quote, pay the price for taking too long to make a deal, saying, quote, they keep playing us for suckers.
They should sign their deal. It's a good deal.
Iran's president writing on social media they will, quote, stand firm against any pressure or threat. An Iranian general going further, saying, quote, every time Trump speaks, we punch him in the mouth again. Meanwhile, U.S. Central Command saying it disabled a vessel in the Gulf of Oman today after they say it failed to comply with orders. President Trump praising the naval blockade of Iranian ports, today claiming the U.S. has been secretly, quote, taking out millions of barrels of oil through the Strait of Hormuz.
You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships, late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar, because we blasted the crap out of it.
And Trump today is sharing new details about that helicopter attack, saying an Iranian drone lodged into the helicopter but didn't explode. Both of the pilots were rescued. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, New York.
To medical news now, and it appears one province's plan to ban energy drinks for folks under 16 years old might actually go ahead. CTV's Amanda Debison has the details in tonight's edition of The Lifeline.
Health experts in Quebec are telling that province's policymakers that they support a provincial ban on the sale of energy drinks to children under the age of 16, saying there are no health benefits to them.
Pharmacists, cardiologists, public health, and lobby groups told elected officials the ban must be accompanied by other measures, such as awareness campaigns and marketing regulation. The Quebec government has until Friday to pass a slew of bills ahead of the end of the parliamentary session. Health officials in Toronto and Vancouver are warning World Cup visitors about the risks posed by toxic illicit drugs in their cities. A Toronto public health spokesperson says the city's unregulated drug supply is extremely unpredictable and could be different from the supply in visitors' home countries. On the West Coast, the Deputy Chief Medical Officer of Vancouver Coastal Health says his authority will be doing a social media campaign to warn of the risks people face in the coming weeks as Vancouver hosts 7 soccer games. Organizers say the smallest amount of an unregulated substance, including opioids, cocaine, and ketamine, could contain fentanyl or other contaminants and cause an overdose or death. Finally, new research suggests a better night's sleep for older adults may be just a few clicks away. Researchers at a Montreal-based Institute of Geriatrics had participants complete an online program designed to treat insomnia and anxiety. They found half the participants slept better and reported fewer symptoms of insomnia compared with when they started the treatment. The 2-month-long program is based on cognitive behavioral therapy, a form of psychotherapy that helps people identify and change thoughts and behaviors. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for The Lifeline.
The business report will return tomorrow evening, but we do have the market numbers tonight, beginning on Bay Street. Take a look at the TSX. It closed the trading day down 260 points to 34,151. In New York, the Dow Jones ended the day down nearly 1,000 points, closing at just below 50,000. And the Canadian dollar traded hands up slightly against the U.S. greenback to finish at 71.79. You can get the latest business news at bnmbloomberg.ca. We can get the latest on the forecast right now from Kaylin Mitchell out on the weather deck. Kaylin?
Maritime, so we've gone into this evening. Temperatures coming down a little bit as a result, but it was sunnier earlier today for most of the Maritime provinces, and that takes us to our viewer picture for tonight. And this is a beautiful shot coming in out of Miramichi, New Brunswick. Miramichi has been one of the hotter areas of the Maritimes over the last couple of days, basically daytime high temperatures up around 30, 31 degrees. This is coming in from Edna Trevors. I want to thank Edna very much for taking the time to share that with us. As for tomorrow for Miramichi, mixed sun and cloud and hot again with the high temperature near 31. Now, accompanying the cloud cover that's moved in this evening and tonight, there's a chance of showers around northern areas of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and even in Cape Breton. And then overnight and into Thursday morning, another round of showers is going to be exiting the northeastern United States, and that's expected to be around parts of the southwest of Nova Scotia to start the day for tomorrow. So if you're down in Digby, Yarmouth, Shelburne counties, Queens County, likely some showers moving through in the morning, low chance of a downpour or a thunderstorm. Now moving into the afternoon for the Maritimes, it's a mix of sun and cloud, and once again, a lot of hot temperatures in the region. Todd.
All right, thank you, Kaylin. We'll see you tomorrow. That's our look at the day here at home. Bruce is here at 11:30. Don't forget, we'll see you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock on CTV2. Until then, I'm Todd Battis. Have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on